Come on, Lego. The playoffs are starting today. What exactly are you doing making videos about trades? Well, because the playoffs are indeed going to go on, we're going to start doing some streams, I guess. Maybe not today, per se. I don't really know how comfortable I am streaming for the first round. I honestly haven't given it too much thought. We might just go ahead and start doing things in the second round and beyond, plus the draft lottery, etc. So maybe that's the plan. I don't really know at the moment. But instead, we do have ourselves some other things to go over when it comes to the eliminated teams, the teams that have come in and made themselves stories that transcend the 2022 Stanley Cup Playoffs, and the Montreal Canadiens are indeed one of these clubs. Yesterday we spoke about Cole Caulfield, and we reviewed his season and went over the idea of him being a Calder candidate because of how well he was able to perform under Marty St. Louis, how he was second in rookie goals and all that despite having a very bad start. But we do have some other trade ideas that still present themselves, because when it comes to some of the bigger names on the team, i.e. Jeff Petry for one and Brendan Gallagher for another, there have been some conversations from people in the media and the fans as to whether or not these guys should, could, or would get traded. Well, we have ourselves a few updates from guys like Kent Hughes and guys like Jeff Petry themselves as to what their thought processes are towards that entire idea too. So let's go over onto Jeff Petry first and foremost, because during his postseason media availability, he had himself what was a very good amount of praise to give for the Montreal Canadiens and their overall organization. There is an entire 3-minute video that was posted onto the Canadiens Twitter account, so I will leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and watch that. But pretty much, Jeff Petry was going out there and waxing poetic, singing his praises, and just being a very optimistic dude about what it was that Montreal has offered him and his family, and just how good it is playing for the Habs. Here's a quote from John Liu on his Twitter account. Petry says, "I don't want to close the door on this organization and this team." Petry will go home to reflect on the season and discuss his situation with his family, adding that it's possible his family could return to Montreal. In the video that is linked in the description, Petry goes out there and he explains the entire thought process as to why his family did not go over here and why they stayed in America, because of the resources, because of the help, because of just the accessibility of family, loved ones, all that stuff. Of course, Petry is an American guy himself, but he does go out there and say additionally that when it comes to the other teams that he has been a part of, Edmonton and Montreal especially, his family has indeed loved those places too, and Montreal is no exception to that. It was only really a matter of circumstance in an uncertain pandemic-filled world. Now, that's not really exactly what he said, but that's kind of the idea that he was giving off, and I'm just kind of filling in the blanks into my head, so yeah, I'm paraphrasing here, but still, I think it gets the message across well. But Petry himself wasn't ever not a fan of the idea of playing in Montreal and continuing to develop his path in the Bell Center. He said at the end of the video that, yeah, the Bell Center is second to none when it comes to the fans and the atmosphere. When you're playing on a team and the team is playing well, Montreal is one of the best teams to be a part of, and he said that the Stanley Cup Finals run from last year really opened his eyes to that, etc., etc. Pretty much, he's saying that he does not want to move. And I saw a lot of people responding to the video and those sentiments saying, oh, I still kind of want to trade Petry. Is his future in Montreal really all too guaranteed? This and that, his playstyle, is it something that you could project long term? But at the end of the day, Petry himself does have a pretty significant contract that does have a no-move clause and a modified no-trade clause. So if there's any movement that goes on with this player, you'll find that he's likely at the helm of that in terms of controlling where, when, and how that process goes down. So if he's saying to the media, yeah, no, I kind of want to stay, like, I don't want to leave. It's been great here in Montreal. Even though we had a bad season, there still are so many good things to look forward to. I don't really know if we're going to see Petry's name on the trade block anytime soon, or if we're actually going to see him get moved, because it's apparent from his media presser that he very much likes it in Montreal still, despite the bad year, despite the fact that his family stayed in America the entire time, etc., etc., etc. But it's not just Petry that we have to go over when it comes to the Canadiens and their significant players, because when it comes to Brendan Gallagher, there also was a conversation that was opened up about him by GM Kent Hughes. This is the article. It's on sportsnet.ca. Canadiens Hughes needs clarity on Carey Price's future before the offseason overhaul. There's an entire other video we can make about that when it comes to Carey Price and whether or not he has played his last game as a Canadian or he has not. This article is from April 30th. Again, the link will be in the description if you want to go ahead and read this yourself. But there is a conversation about Brendan Gallagher that is opened up in this piece too. We're going over to the halfway mark of the article where Kent Hughes says we are going to evaluate all options, he said multiple times throughout his 33-minute press conference. He's obviously referring to whatever it is the Canadiens can do to make trades and all that, and so when you're reviewing all options, it's kind of an implication that you're going out there and talking about every single player on the team. And of course, even though he might say that, you know he's probably not talking about guys like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, etc. So there are some realistic options whose names you can throw into the hat there, but he did eliminate one, saying that he has no plans to move 29-year-old Brendan Gallagher, who possesses a contract which counts for $6.5 million per season for 5 more years on the cap. Listen, Brendan didn't have the best season, Hughes said about the Canadiens' alternate captain, who was plagued by injuries and limited to just 7 goals and 24 points in 56 games. He's not alone in that situation, and we hope Brendan will return and have a good season next year. Gallagher is confident that he and Paul Byron, who has 1 year left at $3.4 million, will go into the summer with the same goal of building their bodies back up to a point they weren't able to get them to in 2021-2022. There is a video in the article of Gallagher talking about his season and everything. Again, if you want to go over and review everything, I mean, he had 24 points in 56 games played, which is only 1 more point than he had last year, albeit in a significantly higher amount of games played. Gallagher has not played 82 games in 3 years, where he had 52 points and 33 goals in 2018-19. So it is kind of concerning, I guess, when you review the body of work that he has had, not just in terms of point production, but in terms of longevity and being able to play. But then you have to remember, okay, the guy did play 22 games in the Stanley Cup last year. He made it to the finals. He was bloodied up against Tampa Bay and all that. So there still is that warrior mentality that Canadiens fans have grown to love with Brendan Gallagher. It's just the question as to where does he go for next season, because he did have 14 goals in 35 games in 2020-2021, 7 goals in 56 games this year. So the goal production, it's declining. The point production, it's declining. But as Kent Hughes did say, we do hope that there is a bounce back for Brendan Gallagher in the years that come, because the guy's making $6.5 million a year, also with a modified no-trade clause and a full no-move clause until 2027. So, if there is the possibility for a trade, like Petry, it all falls under Gallagher and his own 2 hands right there, because you're not going to trade away Gallagher without him giving the okay or without him approving the situation to whichever team, because contract stipulations. But either way, I guess I speak for everybody when I say that, of course, we hope Brendan Gallagher comes out next season and becomes a 30-goal guy again. Is it likely that he ever does that again? I'm not too sure. You can go out there and leave me in the comments your opinions as to whether or not that is a possibility. But, of course, it's something that we want to see, and it's something that we would not deny if it was a presented option on the table, right? Like, the hockey gods come over here and gather a press conference and they say, okay, do you guys want Brendan Gallagher to get 30 goals? Well, I'll say yeah, of course, right? Like, there's no reason to say no. But either way, that's our update right here. Petry goes out there into the media and says that, yeah, no, he still wants to play in Montreal. He still adores the city, and he's not giving up on the team and its circumstances. For Brendan Gallagher, it's more apparent from the GM's mouth himself. Yeah, no, we're not going to trade this guy. He had a bad year, but we think he can bounce back because he's just that good, and we know the value that he can provide. So let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Brendan Gallagher and Jeff Petry, the entire trade update that we discussed here on the YouTube channel. The links will be in the description and want to go ahead and watch the video about Petry giving his opinions on Montreal to the media. Also, if you want to read what Kent Hughes had to say about the entire situation, and obviously it's not even just Brandt and Gallagher too, like it's highlighted here in the piece that it's Gallagher and Byron who are both going to try to make sure their bodies are proper and ready to go 100% for next season, which is obviously good news because the Canadiens didn't have the best season this year. I don't think you need me to tell you that, but let me know in the comments either way all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Trolls 99, and bye.